I hate my sister-in-law. It's no joke, I hate her guts. Well, can you get this? My husband, her brother, says that she has to come and live with us because she's going through a rough patch. And I tell him, no way. So you know what he does? He kicks me out. I'm not going to stand for that, so I go to talk to my best friend. Let me tell you what she told me. My husband kicked me out because I was not okay with his toxic sister staying with us for an extended period of time. I hate my husband right now. Why did I ignore the red flags? I know that they say that marriage is not perfect, but this is no longer marriage. This is torture, and I am done with it. I've tried to put up with it. I'm at my wit's end and very, very burnt out. I already take care of one child, and now he's expecting me to take care of his sister's kids. I barely have vacation days, and now that I do, he wants me to be taking care of the people instead of resting. I have a very busy and draining year, barely making through without breaking down once a week. I've been imagining having 2 entire weeks off so that I can sleep in, catch up on some reading, and take some walks on the beach. All I've known for the past week is work, home, and repeat. I've not even had time to meet up with friends, and the only thing that's prevented me from going mad was getting my full 8 hours of sleep per night. I honestly just pass out at the end of the day. After dealing with patients, I come home and take care of my husband. We have a helper who comes 2 days a week to help with some of the more extreme chores, but I cook for him every day and make sure that everything's laid out for him at the end of the day. You would think that he would at least clean up after himself or pick things up when he drops them, but he does not. We've been married for 10 years, and I failed to get him to break those habits. I've realized that I should put my foot down at the beginning, and now it's too late since he's set in his ways. I understand that and accept that, and I don't mind taking care of him. After all, he's not a bad husband. He's there for me when I need someone to talk to. He makes sure to take care of me financially and has not once pressured me to have kids. He lets me do whatever I want, wear whatever I want, and go where I want with no hassle. If this year has not been hectic at work, then I would not have been so burnt out. So why did I start by saying that I hate him and am questioning getting married to him? Well, I'm not happy with him today after what he did. He's never acted so rudely or out of character like this before, and I'm still shocked and trying to process this. I'm not okay right now. I've been crying and screaming, and I feel such a deep sense of injustice. 10 years of being together, and he throws me under the bus because of her, of all people? His sister, LJ, whom I mentioned before, is very toxic and difficult to live with. I've known her for as long as I've known him. I can greet her and act cordial towards her if the need arises, but I will not go out of the way to speak to her. She has 3 kids by 3 different fathers, cannot keep a job, and has a nasty attitude. Over the years, her brother has bailed her out so many situations, it's got to the point where I told him that she was just taking advantage. After that, he started to send money to her behind my back as if I did not notice. Nothing gets past me. My job requires me to pay attention to as much detail as possible, and we've not seen her in 2 years, but she's called him a while ago, asking if she could stay with us, and when she came to town, she said that she only needed a place to stay for 1 week, and then she would be on her own way. I agreed for her to stay, under the assumption that it was going to be temporary, but then last night I accidentally saw a text message exchange between the 2 of them. She was telling him that she actually wanted to stay on this side for as long as possible because she heard that we were having better opportunities. She also added that she was struggling to do much because of the kids. He then said that I was there. I was not going to be working so I could take care of the kids while she just, hassled. As soon as I read that, I stormed to the living room and showed him the text. Our biggest argument this year followed, and I told him that I was not a nanny. He could not just volunteer my services. I had plans for my days off, and I was not going to take care of the kids. When I last saw her, she had 2, and they were already a handful. Now that there were 3, how was I going to survive? I wanted to spend my time making delicious treats for myself, listening to podcasts, just clearing my mind and not having to be on my feet all day, not taking after some kids, and I told him that I already take care of people at work and at least I get paid for it. He then said that I was being cruel. His sister was in a difficult situation and she was family. I said that while she was family, we should not forget her track record. Everywhere she goes, there's trouble, and right now I need peace, not problems. He would not hear me. He told me that she was family and that he would not turn his back on her, and I told him that I was not going to be the mother to her kids while she was busy enjoying life. Everyone knew that she was always running away from her responsibilities. He told me that I was being unfair to the poor kids, and as a person who works in health, I needed to have a lot more empathy. By this point, I was already exhausted from my long day. Everything I looked at was dancing, and this man in front of me was making a lot of noise. I said that I was not the one who gave birth to those brats, and would not give up my free time for them. I said that in fact, I did not want them to even stay here for a week. I've been generous before now that they had the nerve to go behind my back and arrange an extended stay. The next thing I knew, she would have moved in permanently, and I would not have peace in my own house. Another thing that made me not want to have her in my house is because of the fact that she's very rude to me. She does not know when to hold her tongue, and she says what she wants to me, and I end up replying, which always leads us to fighting. Now imagine if to stay for longer than the holiday. Imagine having to hide my money in case she or her kids try to steal it. There was no way that she was ever going to set foot in my house, and that was final. I left everything that I was doing and decided to go get sleep. He could make his lunch for himself since he thought that he could make choices without even asking for my input. The next morning, he woke up in a bad mood, and I decided not to talk to him and just carry on about my day. That was when he told me that he wants me to leave the house since I did not want his sister to stay with us. I asked him why I would ever do that. He said that since I could not even pretend to be nice to her, it's clear that I did not need to live here. He told me that I could only come back once she left, but he needed me to leave. He then told me that he got me a place to stay at a friend's who was out of town for a while. He wanted me to move after I come back from work because his sister was coming the day after, which was tomorrow. So this is what happened. I came back from work tired, packed my crap, and left. I did not even have words for him. I was so mad that if any words came out of my mouth, I would have ended my marriage right then and there. Update number 1. I did not let him win that easily, like you might think. All thanks to a friend who pulled through for me. At work, I have a coworker whom I always eat lunch with. We're not friends outside of work, but we do hang out at work. She works in the legal department at work, and she's very smart, and we rant to each other about our personal lives and any drama. It's our ritual. When I got to work the day after I got kicked out, my mind was all over the place, and I simply could not focus. She was quick to pick up on that and ask me what's going on. I was a bit ashamed about the situation, but decided that it's better just to open up to her. So I told her everything over lunch, and she listened patiently. She told me that she would talk on to me on my next break, but my words had not fallen on deaf ears. At the break, she sent me a voice note, in which she told me that she spoke to a friend of hers who was a family lawyer. There was no way that this man could just kick me out of the house. I had every right to stay, and in addition to that, we're married in a community of property, which basically means what is mine is his, and what is his is mine. I then asked what I could do. For he was telling me that I could not be anywhere near the house. She told me that I had to go and tell him that I would not leave since it's my house too. If he tried to kick me out, then I have every right to call the police, and he would get in trouble. Sounds simple, right? Well, it's easier said than done. It was just my luck that when I got home, nobody was there, so I made myself some tea and sat calmly in my kitchen as I waited for him. Sure enough, soon he was home, and the great part was that he was not alone. He had brought along my very best friend, his toxic sister. When LJ saw me, she gave me a nasty look, and I gave her one right back and smiled sarcastically. He, on the other hand, looked a bit confused. He asked me what in the heck I was doing here. I asked him if I did not live at the house, then, that's my home, the last time I checked. He laughed and said that he got me a nice apartment to stay in for my break. Did I forget something? I told him that I'd forgotten something all right, which was my rights. That's when he asked his sister to leave us so that we could talk. As soon as she was out of earshot, he was bombarding me with so many questions. He was so mad, saying that I went back on the agreement that we made, and I asked what agreement. Where was the contract that I signed to be out of my home for weeks on end to make space for little old LJ? He then said that it was his house, and since I could not be accommodating of his family, I did not need to live there. I laughed and told him that it's my house too. I was willing to fight him tooth and nail if he thought that he could drive me out. I then told him that he had 1 week to find his sister and her kids somewhere else to stay, and after that I would take measures to have all of them kicked out, including him. I told him that he knows that I don't make empty promises, and when I say that I'm going to do something, I do it. I never back down. I let him know that what he did to me was very degrading because I've always respected him. He knew what his sister was like, yet he was willing to throw his wife out. What did that say about him? When I looked at him scrambling just to find an excuse, something within me settled. It was something that had been on my mind for 2 years. Every time that I thought about it, I suppressed it, and I told myself that my marriage was not bad. It was comfortable. But I've been suppressing how I feel so that I can keep the peace. Have I been compromising my own well-being? I have a week to think about this, and when I come back, I hope that she'll be gone. If she's still here, that it's going to mean something else for me and my husband. I'm not sure if I wanted her to be gone or not when I come back, but I've given him an ultimatum and set it up to him to adhere to. If it means that I have to fight him for the house, so be it. After all, it would not be a standing if it were not for me. I've made that house a damn home. It's more mine than it is his. On the other hand, I just know that this week is going to be a difficult week for him, and I'm the one who does everything in the house and who knows how everything works. He can't do anything without asking me first, and he's not going to survive more than 2 days without my help. He's taken me for granted and has gotten used to me doing everything for him. I've been complacent for many years, happily allowing him to do as he pleased, even sending money to that spoiled brat that's his sister. It has to stop now. They say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but this one has to learn. This experience has been so eye-opening, and it's revealed to me the fact that I'm not really that respected in the family. That's truly a humbling feeling, you know. Update number 2. Tomorrow I'm going to my house to see if they're there or if they're gone. I'm hoping for his sake that they'll be gone and back to where they came from, and my holiday starts in a few days and I'm planning on enjoying it in my own house. If they're still there, then I will unleash absolute hell on them. This week at work was frustrating, and I'm looking for an outlet of my frustration. Other than that, it's been nice to come home and rest. I only have to cook once in a while, and I don't need to clean up after anyone. As soon as I come back from work, I either go straight to bed or I watch something on TV. It's been nice to rest after work, practice some self-love. It is something that I have not even thought about all year. The weekend was my first free weekend in a while, and I spent it with my girls. They were so shocked to see me that they thought I was an apparition. I've been flaking on them for the whole year to the point where they've given up asking me to even hang out with them. But this weekend, I got to spend some time with them, catch up, gossip, laugh for the first time in a while. The deep sadness and loneliness that has been plaguing me finally lifted, and I finally felt alive. It was needed. Now that I've tasted freedom after so long, I find myself craving it. But I will admit that I miss my husband. I miss coming home and telling him about my day. Alas, he's not messaged me since I left him, and I thought that by day 2 he would have cracked and told me that he left, but he's been pretty stubborn. I'm going to keep my promise if I find out that he did not do as requested. He knows that if my mind is set on something, it's hard for me to ever change it. Anyways, I'm still pretty nervous about tomorrow. The future is uncertain. If I get there and she's still there, how do I go about it? Do I have the strength to fight my husband for the house and risk a split? What if I just decide to let it go and stay here until she's gone so that I do avoid drama? On the other hand, I don't want to appear weak and give LJ the satisfaction. When I left my house a week ago, she was smiling like she had just gotten the cream. She was telling me with her eyes that blood was thicker than water. She was bragging to me that she could tamper with my bond of my husband. Anyways, let me sleep. Update number 3. Sometimes you have to burn to truly learn. Sometimes you have to walk on thorns to get the point of renewal. You lose things on the way, and it hurts so much to be so raw, but pain does not last forever. That's why my mother used to tell me every time I faced challenges in my school. My mother was a woman with true grit, who did not falter in the face of trouble but faced it head-on, fiercely, fearlessly even. I've had to channel my mother after what happened at my house. I went to the house on the promised day, and when I got there, my husband and his sister were at the house. She was busy running after the kids, and he was working in his study. The house looked like a pigsty, and I could not even breathe in the air of the house because it was so damn filthy. Could they not have hired someone to clean the house when I was gone? LJ and I looked at each other when I walked in, but we did not speak. I went from room to room inspecting it and found that there were missing things in the house. When I went to my bedroom, I could not find the necklace that my husband bought for me for our 5-year wedding anniversary. Nothing was where I left it, and it was clear that she had gone shopping in the house. I did not go to my husband and tell him what I saw. Instead, I got in my car and I left. I then went to the police and gave my statement, and after that I visited a friend and switched off my phone. I only switched it back on later that evening before bed. My husband had called me so many times, asking me how I could get his sister arrested. I did not respond to those messages, and the next morning I called my lawyer and told him that it was time. The very next day, my husband was served with court papers. Either I was going to buy him out of the house, or, well, we were going to sell it and split the money that we got from the sale. When I thought of that house, I got angry. He had allowed her to come into our house, basically defile it and then steal it from us. She had the nerve to think that she could do what she pleased because it was her brother's. He got served his papers. He called me and asked me if we could meet up and talk, and he asked me if this meant that we were going to get a divorce. I told him that we first needed to sort out the issue with the house and then we would figure it out. To be honest, my heart is no longer with him. I've known this for a while, but I've lied to myself, and I've told myself that it's best for me to stay with him. We could not just throw away all those years of hard work. But disrespect is where I absolutely draw the line with him. He did not think twice before letting a person who has proven over the years that she's not trustworthy. She took my necklace, which has such sentimental value to me. If I'd asked her about it, she would have responded rudely, and we would have ended up screaming at each other. So I put out an alert on all the groups that I was about my necklace. If anybody found it, they could report it to the police for me. Sure enough, a pawn shop in town contacted the police, saying that a woman had brought the necklace in for some money. I sent the messages to her brother and asked if I was falsely accusing his sister. He said that he really thought that she changed. He said that he had not told me about this because it was a sensitive issue, but she was very sick because of all the substances that she's taken over the years. While staying with him, she was getting treatment. He said that he did not tell me because he thought that I would judge her since she got herself into this situation. I told him that it was very likely that she did not even have health complications, but she just was using him for money. He was crestfallen as once again she broke his heart. That's the problem with him. He's such a softy. It is his only sister. He does not seem to understand that she'll never change and that she'll hurt him over and over again. We talked for a long time about how to go forward. He told me that while it was difficult for him to do this, he was not going to bail her out. Instead, he was going to let her do time for stealing our things. He was especially hurt by the fact that she looked him in the eyes and denied taking my necklace. It was very long and a deep conversation where we discussed what to do with the kids, and he said that we would maybe try to contact the fathers so they could take care of their kids. I said, well, that's a good idea. Or we could send them to live with their grandparents, and maybe I could have taken them in, but right now my marriage is not stable. I don't know when I feel comfortable to move back or if I ever will. In addition to that, I've never wanted to have kids. My childhood with my parents made me not want to be a parent like them. They were always so busy and had no time for me, and I, on the other hand, love my career and would not want to neglect my kids because of them. The both of us decided long ago that it's better to have pets than children. I don't mind other people having kids. I mean, it's their choice. And my choice is that I don't want to have kids. Update number 4. My husband and I have taken a break for over 2 months. He has since moved out of the house and said that I could move back in. He stayed in the apartment that I used to stay in for the past 60 days, and within that time we've seen each other twice a week for couples therapy. We talk here and there about not so much, but we've been considering dating other people for a while and then seeing if we will still want to be together after that. I confided in my friend at work about this, and she thinks it could be a good idea. She thinks that we could use some refreshings of our relationship so that we can just reconnect. Another thing that's been brought up in therapy is kids. When we got married about a decade ago, he said that he did not want kids, and I agreed. The topic's been off the table for years, and I've assumed that it's a no-go. It turns out that he's been thinking about it for a while but was scared to broach the topic with me. He admits that he sees how hard I work, but it's never crossed his mind to do more. He grew up in a household where his mother and sister did the work for him, so when he met me, a person who was nurturing, it was no different from him when he grew up. He said that I always seemed to be managing and I did not complain that much, so he thought it was okay. I opened up about the stress that I've been under at work. Someone quit their job this year and I have double their responsibilities. They've found replacements, but they never seem to pass the trial period. That now leaves me doing the job of 2 people on 1 person's salary. We explored setting boundaries in therapy for both our personal and professional life, and having someone else look at our lives and guide us has definitely been something of an eye-opener. Here I was thinking about our marriage being good because it stood the test of time, not knowing that there was always room for improvement. Well, not all is fixed. We still have so much more to work through before we decide if we want to stay together or not. I've thought about a life without him. It used to be that very idea scared me, but now that it's a possibility, I'm not scared. I just think of it as me still loving him, but from afar. Maybe for both of our sakes, and I've not been perfect in this marriage, and I'm sure that if you ask him, he'll tell you what I have done that's made things difficult for him. Update number 5. It's been a month now, and his sister just gotten a 2-year sentence for theft. This was after it was revealed that she's been stealing from local businesses as well. Her brother took this very hard, and he ended up moving back in with me because he was so stressed. His parents said that they could not stay with the kids for longer. They're old, and the kids are menacing. He's tried to contact the fathers, and they want nothing to do with the kids. However, he's managed to take them to court so that they pay child support, and I helped him with that because I was so angry that they brought kids into this world but did not want to take care of them. We managed to get some money for them for the kids, and there's more coming from mispayments over the years. 2 of the fathers have some very good jobs and make decent money, and they're just deadbeats. No wonder LJ's so messed up. They're all such headaches. In other news, I've decided to give this marriage a try. We spent some time apart from each other and worked on ourselves, and we both went on dates with other people and talked to each other about it. It ended up being interesting when we compared our bad dates with one another and laughed about it. We told each other that at least we knew each other's bad habits and could deal with it. We have also agreed to make some sacrifices. He said that he's going to help a lot more around the house, and in addition, we're going to hire a maid for most of the week so that I don't have to do everything by myself. My part of the compromise is that we're going to take in the youngest of his sister's kids. The other 2 are going to stay with his parents, and we're going to work together as a family just to take care of them and give them a stable home. I now realize that I was too hard on the poor kids because of the fact that I did not get along with their mother. They're still young and impressionable, and I'm sure that having a stable home is going to help them to grow into respectable young kids. I don't want them to end up like their mother, or to suffer because of her bad decisions. To be honest, I'm kind of excited to have Anthony live with us. I'm a nurturer at heart, and I'm sure that taking care of a 2-year-old is not that hard. If it is hard, then at least I have Jay to help me out. We're going to make this work. We're not going to throw in the towel, no matter what. Well, this story worked out pretty well, especially for OP. They went ahead and got couples therapy. They even took in the 2-year-old boy and are allowing him to have a stable life, a stable household for the first time in his whole young life. I do want to know what you guys thought about this story. What do you think of the husband's reaction throughout the timeline of the story? Let's discuss that part down below in the comment section. A lot of people in the earlier updates were giving the husband a really hard time, but by the end of it, a lot of people were saying how he's just looking out for his sister because he knows everything that she's been through and he knows that she's a mom. Anyways, I want to know your thoughts about that, so let's discuss it. My name's Mr. Reddito. I narrate stories like this every day. And if you enjoy these animated story narrations, go ahead, subscribe to the channel because I drop at least a story a day. And if you just can't get enough of Mr. Reddito, I have multiple channels. You can find my favorite playlist, you can find all my channels and every other link and information directly below in the description, guys. Hit that subscribe button, I'll see you tomorrow, and of course remember, it's cool to be kind. See ya!